Art here with another video, and today I would like to just do a small little rundown on things that, like utensils and just basic things that I know on Paint Tool SAI. So first, gonna go to File, Open New, and I usually keep things in the 3000, and I also like it to be portrait mode rather than landscape. So I get like this, and if I ever need to adjust it, I would just do I get my selection tool, or let's say if I want to paint like a sky, I would do something like this, and if I select go to canvas, crop by selection, and there you go. You're right here, a different canvas. If I feel the resolution isn't great, change resolution. I can just go to height, the lowest one. It's like 3,300, and bam, we're at the same resolution we started off with, but with the landscape. So that's a neat little trick I use to start out, to figure out what I want for my canvas before I actually start painting. And I will fix it later, of course, if I need to expand it or make it smaller. It's just no big deal. But to the left, you see over here, you have the basic tools that I actually use would be my pen, airbrush, my brush, ink pen, and then my blur. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the difference between my pen and my ink pen. Right, so the difference between it is pretty much the range of its pressure. So I'm going to make my cursor about this size, and I'll show you. I'm going to go make a very light stroke, as light as I can get it. It's about as light as I can get this. And then this is about adding pressure. This is about as light as I can get this. Most of it is due to my stabilizer, but that is about as light as I can get it. And I'm going to do the same for this. Make this one pretty big. And this is me brushing across as light as I can get it. And then adding some pressure to it. That is the difference between my ink pen and my pen. For general sketching and stuff, I generally use my ink pen actually, for line art stuff. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and do an eye or something. If I ever need it thicker, just add a little pressure to it. No biggie. Top fold. And that is generally how I do. That's usually what I use for my line art and stuff, base sketches or whatever. My pen tool, I actually don't use this very often, being that I use my ink pen for the same thing. I would use my pen for line art as well. It's kind of about what type of lines I want to make, I suppose, the pressure I need. And then we have airbrush. Airbrush has two functions for me, actually. Of course, airbrushing being one. Airbrushing being one, of course. And then another thing I use for it is actually whenever I'm adding shadows, midtones, and my highlights, I actually set it to the thickest brush I can get it, density to max, and then this is actually what I use over my pen. I actually cannot tell you why. Let me see. Let's find out. This is what my lines look like. There's a really nice gradient between the thick end and then the thin end. I really like that. It's very smooth transition. Versus with this, it's very blunt. I can turn it down, but it actually cuts down the entire thing. I could actually probably adjust those settings around here somewhere. But why not worry about it? I found out something that works, so why not worry about it? But those are the functions I do use. So I would throw down flats or something with my brush set to its hard, completely hard, and density maxed out. And then that's how I set my flats, like this. And then if I need to go back, add like some type of gradient to it. I could just airbrush a nice little gradient in there. And that's basically, those are basically my brushes. The last brush I use is this one right here. If you need the settings, I'm gonna go over all of them, so you can pause the video and then get all my settings. I'm even gonna zoom up for you. But for, what's going on? Oh, I have it locked, my bad. Okay, for my brush, it's hard to explain. It works just like a brush pretty much. But you have these settings down here, blending and dilution. Alright, so let's cover dilution. I'm going to take it all the way down, and I'm going to do this. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and put dilution up. And maybe that's not up enough. I'll show you what it does. It's like adding a bunch of water to it. And in order to get that dark, this color, it'll take more strokes to get there. More and harder strokes to get there. And I really like the brush because of its other thing, blending. So if you put up blending, if I were to bring this brown into it, or actually it will be out of it. If I were to go across the blue, the brown, it will mix. If I was to bring the brown into the blue, it'll just overshadow everything. So let's go ahead and take dilution down and do that. See? And if I take from blue, it does this. Slowly becomes that color. And that's based off the blending. So if you want a more smoother gradient between the two colors that you're trying to mix, just put dilution up. And it adds a, oops, wrong color. It adds a smoother gradient into it. And that's why I love my brush. It's really good for mixing colors and things. Like if I were to do a face doing skin tones, it's just amazing with this, honestly. And if it's very blunt with this, what's it called? It's like a stroke size. It can get pretty blunt whenever you're trying to paint. So if you need to get like really, really precise areas, it's not my favorite, but personally I don't really care about getting really precise spots. Then I can just use my blur. Anyways, those are my utensils. Let me go ahead and go over them. Here's pen. I'm gonna zoom here in the video so you can see like all the settings I have set for it. Here's airbrush. Here's brush. And then here's my ink pen. And if you want the settings for my blur tool, there are my settings. If you need to create a new brush because you don't want to destroy your own, you just scroll down, find an empty spot, right click, and you have pencil, airbrush, brush, watercolor, marker, eraser. Watercolor is the blur tool, brush is the brush, airbrush is airbrush, pencil is my pencil. So you can go ahead and create your own without having to destroy your default settings. So moving along, another really cool thing about Paint Tool SAI is the Stabiliser. This right here. I don't know how to really explain how it works. It's kind of like adding an invisible weight to your pressure. I can't explain it. Alright, so I'm going to instead show you. Alright, maybe this will be a better idea. I'll do my normal paint. Alright, so these, no, I'll do my normal paint. Never mind. Alright, so this is this. I'm going to go as lightly as I can. Just doing some random strokes. Very random strokes. I'm going to put my stabilizer. Let's put it at 15. Scroll down. No line there. See that? These lines versus these lines. It also makes things seem, smoother whenever I'm curving. So I'm going to take them off. And I'm going to to try curving. For some reason, my curves just don't come out as smooth and nice. I do not know how to explain the stabilizer. I've never seen anything like this before. And personally, I like my stabilizer on 5. But I mean, go ahead and experiment. Go ahead and experiment, find what your stabilizer is. If you don't need it, if you don't need it, you don't need it. I know a lot of, I know Photoshop, I don't believe has a stabilizer setting, so, I mean, if you're a Photoshop user trying to get into Paint Tool SAI, unlikely to happen, but you probably don't need a stabilizer. But I personally love the stabilizer setting on 5. It makes like my paint tool just phenomenal, just to create with. So I like to, it just gives like some type of, I don't know, sketchy feel to it that just, it's just unreal. I've never been able to achieve anything like this without a stabilizer. So, anyways, next I want to get into, now that I got all that down, basic things. Over here in my file, you have to click these in order to open them. Now I'm going to go ahead and run through what I use. Of course, I forget what this thing's called. I don't know how I forget it. I'm going to call it the color wheel. I don't remember what it's called anymore. But basically my color wheel is probably, it stays up there at all times. I never take it down. I just love this thing. It's really cool because the circle allows me to pick complementary colors easily. For instance, if I had this pretty blue, actually that's not okay, maybe it's complementary color, but right across, the orange. I'll probably find a better orange than that. Yeah, that'd be great. So I'd be able to just easily click what's right across. So it makes it really easy to pick like triads if I need to. I guess this would be the other one. Over here or something. It's just really a really neat thing because you don't really come across programs that have it. I believe Krita has it though, so it's probably one of my favorite things about. Actually, no, I like a lot of things about Paint Tool SAI. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I love a lot of things about Paint Tool SAI. Next thing would be this. I don't even know how to explain it because I've never used one of these before. I've seen them plenty of times, but I don't know how to really create really cool colors with that. I love the next one down, the third one. I love this because I always keep this open, but I like to have this open as well because of the value scale. I try not to go below 20 because I feel below 20 is, oops, what did I do? I feel below 20 is hard to see whenever you're doing a painting, and I'm trying my best to break out of that. But I love this because it lets me keep track of what values I'm using, and I should actually use it more often. Next is, I don't know how to use that. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm just gonna skip it. I don't know how to use that one. This one is, it's equivalent. It's just your palette pretty much. So if you find some colors you really like and you want to save it, select the color that you want to save, bring it over, right click, set. Remember, right click, set. So it's very simple. You can come back and let's find some more colors. I don't know. You can come back and just press it. Set. So I have those two colors set. If I want to use it, so over click it, and I get that one. Click it, have that one out. So it's really cool. I don't use it very often because I mean I don't know. I know how to find my colors if I ever need it, but it is very neat. I used to really want to know how to use it, but I never knew how, and it took forever to figure out. Oh, hey, right click. I don't know what was wrong with me. Anyways, this is the same, pretty much essentially the same thing, but this one is better because you can mix colors. For instance, I could bring my brush in here and mix it. If I want to bring my blur in here, I believe I can. Yeah, I can bring my blur in here as well. And you can just mix colors. I don't really use it anymore because I don't need to, honestly. I don't believe I really need to. It's very neat. Alright, so next would be if you are like left-handed, or if my little setup here bothers you, under window, it has these two settings right here. So you can set either the layers on the left side or the right side, the tools on the left side or right side, or you can have them both on the left side or both on the right. Personally, I like my tools on the left and my layers on the right. Alright, so next thing I want to show you is down to the right over here. You have a thing called preserve opacity, clipping group, and I don't know how to use selection source. I have to actually look that up. But these two are very useful for similar things. Alright, let's create a square. Oh, no, let me erase this first. I'm sorry. No. Alright, so let's erase this, and we're going to get the selection tool and create a square. Alright, deselect. If you click preserve opacity, actually I'm going to show you what will happen if you take it off. Let's get a random color. Alright, so normally, if let's say you put a flat down for your skin, if you wanted to shade your skin, you try to bring a purple across it, that'll happen. This will happen. It'll get everywhere. Let's say you click preserve opacity right here for this selected layer. Now you can't go anywhere else but the skin. It makes it 10 times easier to shade, and you won't have to create all these crazy layers. Alright, so now I'm going to show you something else. Let's say you realize your flat was a wrong color. You can preserve opacity that layer, open a bucket, and just change your flat to whatever color you feel that you need. For this next thing I want to show you, I'll turn this into a blue. Right, actually, I'll turn it into what flat I would usually use. Alright, so let's create a layer above it and press clipping group right here. Do it again. Clipping group. Alright, so what this does is the same thing as preserve opacity, but with a different layer. For instance, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take it off and I'm going to show you what I mean. I'm going to grab this dark blue. Alright, watch this. You see that? Now when I click clipping group, it only shows on the layer it's attached to. It's a very amazing thing. So let's say this is when you see, like, for instance, you see like stars that are shining like on letters. Like for instance, if someone had a shirt that said potato, and in the letters of potato you saw an ocean or like a sunset on the word potato, it's how they get it. They will just get the word that they need. For instance, I create a whole, oh crap, what did I do? Nope. I create a whole new whole new layer, and I'm gonna write potato. Well, I don't really want to, let's not write potato. I'm just gonna put Dota. I don't know. Maybe it's like Dota or something. Anyways, flipping group, and then I can do yellow stripes. See? It's amazing. It's a very amazing tool. I used to use this for adding textures to my like clothing and stuff, but I'm gonna show you what I use it for now. Alright, let's delete this layer, the clipping group layer, create a new clipping group layer, and over here you have mode. You have multiply, screen, overlay, luminosity, shade, lumi shade, and binary color. I use multiply, overlay, and lumi and shade. I don't really touch anything else, but I mean, experiment, find out what you like. I'm going to show you multiply. We're going to grab just the gray, grab my airbrush, and this is what multiply does. Alright, I'm going to grab a dark gray so you can actually see. That's what multiply does. Let's say if we grabbed a yellow, it'll add that yellow. So don't expect it to just be gray. I just use gray to just, I don't know. I really don't know. Anyways, if you were to add saturation to your color that you're shading, it'll add saturation, can't even talk, saturation as well. So let's say if we grab the gray, I'm going to use the scale now because I want to add saturation. Right, if we did this, saturation, this is what it'll look like. That's the saturated version of that gray. It has tons of cool uses and lots of needing to experiment with so you understand what you need it for. I'm going to quickly show you Lumi Shade now. I'm going to show you really quickly a technique I like to use for shading things with clipping group. I first go over with, it has to be under, I can't pinpoint the value number for when it starts getting darker, but it adds light to it and also adds dark to it. Okay. Anyways, I'm going to get a dark color and I'm going to go right around the edge. Kind of like a sphere. I'm doing a sphere. And I'm going to blur this. And I'm going to create another clipping group layer. We're going to do another Lumi shade. Actually, no, I won't do a Lumi shade because there's no need to. I could have did all this on that one Lumi shade. I'm going to create an overlay layer. And we're going to get a nice orange or something. Get it from over here. I like overlay because it doesn't necessarily mess with values. It does. Do not. I know a lot of people are probably like, no, it messes with values. It doesn't, like, if you were to do, for instance, Lumi Shade or Multiply, you will be messing with a lot of values. But overlay, it's like, I use overlay just to mess with colors rather than values. If I needed to mess with values, I would use something like Lumi Shade or my Multiply. But I just want to mess with hues right now. And then next I will create, I'm just going to do luminosity just to show you. And I will grab maybe this color. Actually, let's turn it to like a yellow orange. That was too bright. We're going to do this. Personally, I don't like using luminosity for my brightness because I like that little bit of color that comes in between rather than just going straight white. But, I mean, it's your call. Let's grab the blue. Add like a light source over here. No, it's really cool. I usually like using this for highlights in my hair and such. I'll create another video soon to show you how I do like my type of hair. But in this video, I just wanted to show you different things that I use. Alright, so this is how I would do like skin or something over my flat. If I needed to add like highlights to it, skin picking up. For instance, we're going to preserve opacity, create into an actual skin tone. Really bad skin tone. And I'm going to show you this. This is a really bad example. I don't want to show you this. Alright, so let's say you were doing skin. This is not how I do skin. Do not take this and try to do something with it. This is not how I do skin. I just want to show you something about pigment. So I would create a Lumi shade. And I'll do this. Take it more towards the red. And this, what this does, for some reason whenever you use it on skin, it adds liveliness to it. in my opinion. It'll add liveliness to it, so it's not like that really dark brown, like dead looking brown over here. It will have liveliness to it. But I don't recommend overdoing it because it can overshadow a lot of hard work. So I don't recommend overdoing a lot of these techniques I'm showing you, because I'm using them incorrectly right now just to get a point across so you can understand what they do rather than how to use them. Right, another thing, last thing I want to show you before I cut the video is over here you have paint effects. You have texture and then effect. If you go under effect, click fringe. This is something I picked up from Yume, and I'll pick a light color to show you. This is what it does. This is really good for text. If you were to do text like love me, or if you were to just if you just wanted these to stand out, it doesn't matter. This is really cool, a really cool technique to keep in mind. Another thing is the textures. If you mess around, you can get different type of textures and things to use. Alright, so we have different types of textures you can use here. Personally, I used to use, I believe, one of the line ones. I really don't mess with them anymore because I have no use for them. But that's also a thing that you could use as well. You install them. I believe there's tutorials on how to install different types of textures into SAI. It's a folder you put it in as BMPs, bitmaps, I don't remember. I used to know, I don't really remember anymore. But you could just easily Google how to do it, and I'm pretty sure someone has a tutorial up somewhere. If not, eventually I'll learn how to do it and try to show you guys. But I just don't see a point for me using them anymore. Anyways, I believe that's about it for this tutorial. Leave a like if you can, or if you would like to, and leave a comment as to whether or not this actually helped, and give some tips on things that you want to learn in the future videos. What I'm trying to do is just show you basic things that I use on SAI, and then eventually get to Photoshop, and then from there you can just watch my speed paints and time-lapse videos of me painting and kind of pick up how I use it rather than, me trying to explain in that video as well while I'm over here painting in the background really fast. So anyways, I guess that wraps it up. Catch you guys next time.